Hello students, let us continue the chapter circulatory system. In our last video, we studied about the first component of circulatory system, that is blood. We studied about blood groups. Today we'll be going through the second component of the circulatory system, that is blood vessels. So blood vessels are of three types: arteries, veins and capillaries. So let us discuss the structure of arteries, veins and capillaries. First of all, going through the structure of arteries. The structure of arteries, you can see that the wall of the arteries is thicker than the wall of the vein. Arteries carry oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood means what? The blood rich in oxygen. So, when the blood carries oxygenated blood, then it moves in very high pressure because the blood is supplied from the heart to the other parts of the body, means the blood moves away from the heart. So artery carries blood away from the heart, so that is why it moves in very high pressure, and the walls of the artery is thicker than that of the vein. Then the wall of the vein. As we know, the vein carries deoxygenated blood, means the blood rich in carbon dioxide. So in the vein, as it brings blood towards the heart, so the blood pressure is very low in the veins. So it is provided with a door-like structure which is known as valve, which prevent the backflow of blood in the veins. As the pressure in the vein is very low, so the walls of the vein is very thin. So these are the two differences between the arteries and the veins. Arteries do not contain valve because the blood moves in very high pressure in artery and blood moves in very low pressure in vein, so they contain valve to prevent the backflow of blood. Now we'll be talking about capillary. Capillaries are the blood vessels which carry both the type of bloods, that is oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Arteries, they divide and redivide to form arteriole. Arteriole redivide to form capillaries. Capillaries, the wall of capillaries are very thin so that the gases can easily diffuse in and out of the walls, through the walls. Then capillaries, as these arterioles, they take the oxygenated blood to various tissues. The gas oxygen is provided to those tissues, and carbon dioxide which is produced in those tissues is being carried again by the capillaries, which unite to form venule, and then venule unite to form veins. So this is the structure of capillary, that is, it carries both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So these were the three types of blood vessels. Let us now see human heart. We'll study about human heart, in which we'll study about, first of all, we'll be going through the outer layer of the heart. Outer layer of the heart is provided with double layered sac, that is called pericardium. Pericardium is filled with a fluid which is known as pericardial fluid. What is the work of pericardial fluid? Pericardial fluid protects the heart from jerks and shocks during contraction and relaxation of the heart. Now let us study the structure of heart. First of all, the heart is divided into four chambers: right atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. Now, right atrium and right ventricle is separated by a septum. Also, left atrium and left ventricle is also separated by a septum. Then the right side of the heart is separated by the left side of the heart by a wall that is known as septum. Now, there are the presence of valves in these chambers which prevents the backflow of blood, that helps in the blood to move in unidirection. So first we'll be talking about tricuspid valve, which is present between right atrium and right ventricle. Tricuspid valve. Then we'll be talking about bicuspid valve or mitral valve, which is present between left atrium and left ventricle. Then comes the pulmonic valve, which is present between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery. And the last valve, that is aortic valve, which is present between the left ventricle and pulmonary aorta. Now all these four valves which helps in the unidirection movement of the blood, do not allow blood to move back or to flow back. Then we'll be talking about the vessels entering and leaving the heart. First of all, the vena cava, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from the uppermost part of our body. Inferior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from the lower parts of our body. So, inferior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from the lower parts of our body. Superior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from upper parts of our body. And both of them pour the blood in right atrium. Then comes the next vessel, blood vessel, that is pulmonary artery. When the right atrium is filled with deoxygenated blood, starts contracting and the blood moves to right ventricle. When the right ventricle starts contracting, tricuspid valve closes and blood is forced to move to pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery will carry the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, that is the left lung and right lung. Then in the lungs, gaseous exchange will take place and then the blood will move to the left atrium by the help of pulmonary vein. So pulmonary vein carry oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Now the left atrium is filled with oxygenated blood, and then when the atrium starts contracting, blood forces to move to left ventricle. When the blood moves to left ventricle and the left ventricle starts contracting, blood is forced to move to aorta, and by the help of aorta, blood is supplied to the other parts of the body. So this is how the blood circulates inside our body. First, the deoxygenated blood is carried by vena cava to the right atrium. Then from right atrium it is forced to right ventricle. From right ventricle it moves to the pulmonary artery to the lungs. In the lungs, the exchange of gases takes place, from where the gases or the blood moves to the uh, pulmonary vein, by the help of pulmonary vein, the blood moves to left atrium. Then from there it goes to left ventricle, from where it moves to aorta, and then the oxygenated blood is supplied to the other parts of the body. So this is how the circulation of blood carries in our heart.